Hello everyone, my name is Sarfat Şerenk. I'm co-founder of Innocence. I have a special guest today, Jamie Collyer.
Hi.
Uh, Jamie, Jamie is in a unique position in VR, AR, and XR community. So she got her experience with startups. She got her experience with large corporations, big tech companies. So, Jamie, there's this controversial technologies. I mean, we have had them so far, and I think one of the most controversial one is AR, VR, and XR stuff.
Sure.
So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about why you're a firm believer of these technologies and why you invest your time, your efforts in that field?
Sure. Well, thank you for that lovely introduction. So my background is primarily in front-end development, UX, UI design for a number of years, and then went kind of in a combined background in startups and people operations. Started working for Microsoft about 3 years ago when they were doing a lot of their research and development on HoloLens. From there, morphed into working with Facebook Oculus, Magic Leap, a number of gaming studios, and now I'm over at Amazon. So one of the things that I like to do in my spare time is kind of be an advocate in this space for realities plural, I guess, right? We're starting to add different acronyms to realities. And as I was just telling you before this meeting, we're going to define a future where we don't know what those realities look like, and we haven't even put a definition or an English word to them yet. So what I'm most passionate about is connecting people, especially in an artistic and a design and a creative center, to some of the technologies that are going to impact our lives going forward. Just think about 10, 20 years ago, nobody was on their cell phones the way that they are. And now our hands are glued to them and we use them for everything. And so I look at the future in what it could be and not what it is today. And so thinking about how realities, and I kind of group them all in together, right? So Microsoft had their mixed reality and augmented reality. For those of you who don't know, let me actually just back up for a split second and kind of define some of what those are. So augmented reality would be more of a layer on top of your physical world. So you think of HoloLens glasses being, kind of an early adapter of augmented reality. Virtual reality would be an entire headset where you can't see anything but what that virtual world is. So think kind of more Vive, for example, or Oculus. You're enclosed in a virtual reality. So then we've got things like mixed reality that have sprung up, and terms that people are kind of using for any number of these realities. Again, we haven't defined them yet, so people are just saying this is this. And mixed reality is kind of a combination of your physical world and that overlay. So things are more like 3D images kind of in your house or in your store or wherever you are, and not being so submersive that you can't see the people around you. I actually, and a number of us who are working kind of in this space and who are advocates for the realities that we're building, can picture a world in which we've got different layers of reality. And so it might be something that comes out of your computer or your phone, but I picture it as completely screenless. Going forward. I know we're going way back to the Star Wars and the Princess Leia and the hologram, but all of those who grew up with Princess Leia, we all decided to grow up and build this technology. So that's where we're at today. And what's exciting and it can be a little bit scary when you think about this new technology and how it's going to infiltrate our lives, but it's not that scary when you think of, again, where cell phones were, or where Blu-ray DVDs were, or where, any of this type of self-driving cars will be, or any of these types of new ideas as they've come along in the last decade. We're starting to see people who are saying, how can we use this? How can we use this for good? How can we use this for commerce? How can we use this for training? How can we use this for, again, Department of Defense, as we were just talking about before this meeting? Any number of applications. And so what I get most excited about is fostering an environment of creativity, imagination, storytelling, art, and being able to open your mind to the world as it could be, as it interconnects. And a lot of that will be digitally And we're not going to take a step back and just throw this technology to the side. It's not going anywhere. In fact, it's behind the scenes getting better and better. And again, it's a slow process with the hardware, kind of trying to catch up with the software here. But it's an exciting place to be, putting people to work, letting their imaginations just flow, and as it meets that digital reality. So that's kind of where I live, and that's where I see the future of this technology going.
Yeah, great introduction. So as a startup founder, I'm quite familiar with those startups who were founded by 2 or 3 co-founders. We are used to that scenario, and there's this one business guy who comes up with the idea. There's this engineering guy who just hacks anything he or she is able to do. So how about AR, VR, XR, or the ones that we haven't named yet?
Sure.
Those startups, what will be their core team like? How do you see in a team of 4, 5, 3 is?
Sure.
How do you see that thing is evolving in startups?
Mm-hmm.
Also, we know that you are already working with the people in large organizations. So how about the teams in those large tech companies, what they're doing in the XR field?
Well, I'll answer the first part as best I know. And just with the current technology, so a lot of the people that are currently building in realities have come out of a gaming background, video game background, or a film and entertainment kind of background. And some of the hottest skill sets right now are the game engines, because think of it, when you've got all of this data, think about how much data and how much pixels your laptop can run or your iPhone can run, and then times that by like 1 million. Yeah. So we're looking at much larger pieces of data needing to move rather quickly. So one of the key skill sets that I have been actually actively advocating and recruiting on for 3 years, the hottest one right now is a Unity developer. Unity being the strongest game engine. Microsoft runs everything on Unity, and a lot of the other companies. Some have proprietary game engines. Amazon has Lumberjack, etc. But I would say a game engine programmer, somebody who understands a game engine right now. If you're walking off the street today, right this minute, and say, I got to build, here's my startup, I got to go, what do I need? I would say you need a very strong 3D artist, animator kind of person, a person who can kind of start building some of those ideas and those assets, because you'd need some of that to come to life. I would say, a strong 3D artist, animator, and a game engine programmer would be your strongest probably tech skills there. Some scripting tools, et cetera, you can add down the way, but you need somebody who kind of understands where that's going to live and can at least show you what it's going to take to get your product or whatever it is you're building onto a VR platform. You're going to need probably, obviously you were talking about, the business guy and the tech guy. You need somebody who kind of understands the business side, of course, who can take a look at what's currently in that market. But then from a tech side, I would say you definitely need a Unity developer, a game engine programmer. It could be Unreal. Those are really the top 2, but Unity's kind of scaling that market at the moment. And then I would say a couple of artists and animators who can kind of bring that to life. As we're moving into some of the more photorealistic 360, and you're going to probably in the near future also need a video editor or somebody who knows how to shoot in 360 video, because we're looking at a lot of those things moving from 3D pixels to actual footage. So that's an exciting space. But I would say those are probably your top 2. If you can find somebody who can script and code in game engines, that would be just hold on to that person, because they're few and far between. And if you're looking to get into this field, start studying Unity if you're in any type of a scripting language. The second, I would say, from working with big companies, and it kind of mirrors what I just said, but there was a big push about 3 or 4 years ago to really get a lot of these people through the game engine process and understanding that, and how to scale a game engine, how to scale within that space. So I would say Unity and Unreal would be the number one thing that I've probably placed at Microsoft and Facebook. And then outside of that, again, the 3D artists and animators, the people, VFX artists, people who can kind of put together those worlds. And I think at the core of that, what flows throughout, and what I'm very passionate about is that storytelling aspect, being able to not only just kind of draw a character or build out, code in a game engine, but kind of somebody who can see how all of that flows as part of a storytelling aspect. So that's what I saw a lot of at Microsoft. They also wanted game designers, people who could think through each step of the process, where they would go, as well as, and this is going to be a really hot skill set that I'm already seeing coming up, is UX and UI designers in VR and AR. So people who understand not just UX UI for a mobile or a screen, for a laptop or PC, but who can really define the user experience and how users are going to react and what they're going to react best to within an immersive technology. So I think that those are going to be some of the people that you really want to nail down and connect yourself with as a startup, or as somebody who's trying to build a team. Get somebody who understands UX UI, somebody who understands that game engine piece, kind of a game designer or a narrative designer, somebody who can kind of tell the story of your product or whatever that looks like, and then somebody who understands the 3D art and animation, who can kind of pull that together and bring it to life. And I think those will be the top 4 skill sets that you'd want on your team, and that's what I've seen a lot of growth in, for sure. A lot. So if you're a UX designer or a gamer or anything like that, kind of just thinking about what that future would look like and how you need to kind of get your skill set in a way that's thinking surrounding you instead of flat would be the ideal. Yeah.
I see. I mean, it was a quite detailed explanation to that. Thank you.